One wrong answer at customs can ruin your entire trip. Last month, a traveler got detained for 6 hours because they didn't know how to answer a simple question. Their vacation was destroyed before it even started. And the worst part, the question seemed completely harmless. Here's what you need to understand right now. Immigration officers are trained to spot lies in seconds. One of these questions is specifically designed to catch you off guard. Another seems friendly, but it's actually a trap that thousands of travelers fall into every single day. And the final question on this list? It determines whether you walk through smoothly or get pulled into secondary inspection for hours. Stay until the end, because what we reveal about question number 1 will save you from a nightmare you never saw coming. Question 10. How long are you planning to stay? This seems like the easiest question in the world. But here's where travelers make their first critical mistake. They give vague answers like a few weeks, or not sure yet, or as long as I want. Those answers trigger red flags immediately. Immigration officers want specificity. They want dates. They want confidence. When you sound uncertain about your plans, they start wondering if you're planning to overstay your visa. Here's the twist nobody tells you. Your answer needs to match your return ticket exactly. If you say 2 weeks, but your return flight is in 30 days, that mismatch creates suspicion. The officer will ask follow-up questions. They'll want to know why the discrepancy exists. And this is where people panic and change their story. The correct answer format sounds like this. I'm staying for 12 days, departing on March 15th. Specific date, confident delivery, matches your documentation. But there's a hidden trap here. If you're on a tourist visa that allows 90 days, don't say you're staying the full 90 days unless you have rock-solid proof of ties to your home country. Officers assume you're looking for work or planning to stay illegally. The safer move? Say you're staying 2 to 3 weeks, even if your visa allows longer. Give yourself flexibility, but don't raise suspicions. Question 9. What's the purpose of your visit? This question sounds simple, but it's loaded with complications. Most travelers answer with one word: tourism, or business, or visiting family. That's fine for straightforward trips. But what if your trip has multiple purposes? Here's where it gets dangerous. Let's say you're attending a conference, but also planning to do some sightseeing. If you say business, they might ask for proof of the conference. If you say tourism, they might wonder why you're carrying business materials. The solution is simple but specific. Lead with your primary purpose and keep the answer short. I'm attending a marketing conference in Chicago is perfect. Don't volunteer extra information about sightseeing plans unless asked. And here's what no one warns you about. Never, ever say you're looking for opportunities or exploring options or checking out the area. Those phrases scream visa violation. Officers hear, I'm planning to work illegally, or I'm considering staying permanently. If you're visiting friends or family, be prepared with specific names and addresses. Vague answers like, visiting some friends sound suspicious. The officer wants to know, who, where, how do you know them? How long have you known them? But here's the critical detail that catches people. If you say you're visiting family, they might ask about your relationship. If you're visiting a boyfriend or girlfriend, that's a red flag for potential immigration fraud through marriage. Be honest, but don't overshare romantic details. The perfect answer structure. I'm here for tourism, planning to visit New York City and Washington, D.C. Or, I'm here for business meetings with ABC Corporation on Monday and Tuesday. Specific, confident, brief. Question 8. Where will you be staying? This question exposes unprepared travelers instantly. If you pause, if you stammer, if you say, I haven't decided yet, you're getting pulled aside for additional questioning. Immigration officers know that legitimate travelers have accommodations arranged. Here's the trap that ruins people. They memorize their hotel name but don't know the address or even the city it's in. The officer asks, what's the address? And the traveler freezes. That hesitation looks like deception. Before you land, write down your complete accommodation details. Hotel name, full address, confirmation number, and phone number. Have it on your phone or written on paper. Don't rely on memory when you're jet-lagged and nervous. But there's another complication nobody talks about. What if you're staying with friends or using Airbnb? Officers get suspicious about unofficial accommodations. They wonder if you're planning to work or stay long-term. The solution is transparency with the right framing. I'm staying with my college friend John Smith at 123 Oak Street in Seattle. Here's his phone number and address. Having that information ready shows you're legitimate and organized. For Airbnb, treat it like a hotel. I'm staying at an Airbnb in downtown Portland. Here's the confirmation and address. And here's what catches people off guard. If you're staying at multiple locations during your trip, know the first address perfectly. That's what they care about most. The officer wants to know where you're going immediately after clearing customs. Don't list every hotel on your itinerary. Just give the first one unless specifically asked about your full schedule. Question 11. How much money are you bringing into the country? This question terrifies travelers because they don't know the rules. First, understand this. Most countries require you to declare cash amounts over $10,000. That includes currency, traveler's checks, and money orders. Failing to declare can result in seizure of all your money and criminal charges. But here's where it gets tricky. The officer isn't just asking about physical cash. They're also evaluating whether you have sufficient funds for your trip. If you're staying 2 weeks but only carrying $200, that raises questions about how you plan to support yourself. The hidden concern? They suspect you're planning to work illegally. For tourist visits, a general rule is showing you can cover $100 or $150 per day of your stay. That doesn't mean cash. Credit cards count. Bank statements count. But you need to demonstrate financial resources. Here's the safe answer format. I'm carrying $500 in cash and I have credit cards for additional expenses. Simple, honest, and shows financial preparedness without oversharing details. But there's a critical mistake people make. They lie about amounts to avoid paperwork. They're carrying $12,000 but say $9,000 to dodge the declaration form. If customs searches your bags and finds undeclared money, you're facing serious legal problems. Always declare amounts over the threshold. Always. The paperwork takes 5 minutes. The consequences of lying include money seizure, fines up to $500,000, and criminal prosecution. And here's what seasoned travelers know. If you're traveling with expensive items like jewelry, watches, or electronics, carry receipts proving you owned them before your trip. Otherwise, customs might assume you purchased them abroad and charge you duties. Question 6. Do you have anything to declare? This seems straightforward, but it's where travelers lose thousands of dollars in fines. The officer is asking if you're bringing in goods that exceed duty-free allowances. Every country has different rules for alcohol, tobacco, gifts, and commercial merchandise. Here's the trap that catches honest people. They bought a $300 handbag in Paris and assume it's fine because it's just one item. But most countries have an $800 duty-free limit for personal exemptions. That handbag is under the limit, so they should declare it but won't owe duty. The problem? They say nothing to declare to avoid hassle. If customs searches their bag and finds the handbag with tags and receipt, they're not just paying duty. They're paying fines for false declaration. What should have been zero duty becomes a $200 penalty. The safe rule is simple. When in doubt, declare it. Declaring doesn't automatically mean you'll pay duty. It means you're being honest and letting the officer decide if charges apply. The penalty for not declaring is always worse than the duty owed. But here's what travelers don't understand about gifts. If you bought items as gifts for others, those count toward your duty-free allowance. You can't bring in $2,000 worth of gifts and claim they don't count because they're not for you. Commercial goods are a completely different category. If you're bringing in multiple identical items, that looks like you're planning to sell them. Even if you're not, customs will treat them as commercial. Imports requiring paperwork and duties. And here's the detail that saves people trouble. Keep receipts for everything you purchased abroad. If questioned, you can show exactly what you bought and how much you spent. Without receipts, the officer can assign arbitrary values that are higher than what you actually paid. Food items, plants, and animal products have special restrictions. Many travelers don't realize that bringing in an apple or a sandwich can result in fines of 3 or more. Agricultural products are strictly regulated in most countries. When the form asks if you're bringing in food, answer honestly. Question 5. Have you visited any farms or been around animals? This question seems random, but it's incredibly important for biosecurity. Countries protect their agriculture from diseases and pests that could devastate crops or livestock. If you visited a farm, hiked in rural areas, or touched animals, your shoes and clothes might carry contamination. Here's where travelers make a dangerous mistake. They went on a safari 3 days ago, but figure it doesn't matter because they're in a different country now. They answer no to speed through customs. If customs finds mud on their hiking boots or detects residue, they're facing fines and possible prosecution for false declaration. The correct approach is honesty with context. Yes, I was on a safari in Tanzania last week. I've washed my shoes and clothes since then. This answer shows you're aware of the concern and took precautions. But here's what triggers secondary inspection. If you visited areas with recent disease outbreaks, customs will take extra precautions. Avian flu, foot and mouth disease, and other agricultural diseases are taken seriously. Be prepared for them to inspect or even confiscate contaminated items. Your expensive hiking boots might get seized if they can't be properly cleaned. That's not punishment. That's protecting the nation's agriculture from billion-dollar diseases. And here's the detail most travelers miss. Pet owners get extra scrutiny. If you're traveling with pets or visited friends with animals, declare it. Many countries require health certificates and vaccination records for animals entering the country. Failing to declare your pet can result in the animal being quarantined or refused entry. Question 4. What do you do for work? This question seems like casual conversation, but it's strategic intelligence gathering. Immigration officers are evaluating whether your stated purpose matches your occupation. They're also checking if your job makes sense for the type of visa you're using. Here's where people create problems for themselves. They're on a tourist visa, but say they're a freelance consultant. That profession raises immediate red flags about potential illegal work. The officer starts wondering if you're meeting clients or seeking employment. The safe approach is keeping your answer simple and consistent. If you're truly on vacation, your job shouldn't suggest business activities. I'm a teacher, or I work in retail are clean answers that don't raise suspicions. But here's the complication for remote workers. You work remotely for a US company, but you're taking a 2-week vacation in Mexico. Your job involves using your laptop. If you say you're a digital marketer working remotely, the officer might think you're working while in Mexico. The solution? Frame it correctly. I work in marketing for a company based in New York. I'm here on vacation for 2 weeks. You're not lying. You're just not highlighting the remote aspect that causes confusion. And here's what triggers deeper investigation. If your profession is in demand in the country you're visiting, officers suspect you're looking for job opportunities. Engineers, healthcare workers, and tech professionals get extra scrutiny. Be prepared to show strong ties to your home country. Employment letter, property ownership, family obligations. Anything proving you have reasons to return home. Question 3. Is this your first time in this country? This question maps your travel history and looks for patterns. If you've visited multiple times recently, the officer wants to understand why. Frequent visits might indicate you're living there part-time or working illegally. Here's the trap for honest travelers. You've visited 4 times in the past year because your elderly parent lives there. That's legitimate. But if you just answer, "No, I've been here before," without context, it looks suspicious. The better answer provides context immediately. "No, this is my 5th visit this year. My mother lives here and I visit regularly to help with her health care." Now the pattern makes sense and doesn't suggest visa abuse. But there's another complication. If you previously overstayed a visa or had any immigration violations, this question is testing whether you'll be honest about your history. They already have your record in the system. Lying about previous visits or violations is grounds for immediate denial of entry and potential ban. Always be truthful about your travel history. If you made mistakes in the past, be prepared to explain what happened and why it won't happen again. And here's what catches people who travel frequently. Your passport stamps tell a story. If you've been bouncing between countries without spending time at home, officers suspect you're living as a perpetual tourist to avoid residence laws. Know the rules for your visa type. Tourist visas aren't meant for living abroad indefinitely. Question 2. Are you traveling alone? This question reveals more than you think about your trip's legitimacy. Officers know that certain travel patterns suggest different risk profiles. Solo travelers get more scrutiny than families. Young single travelers get more questions than married couples. Here's why this matters. If you're traveling alone and give vague answers about your plans, it raises trafficking concerns. The officer needs to verify you're traveling voluntarily and safely. The answer needs to be straightforward and confident. Yes, I'm traveling solo for a photography tour of national parks. That answer explains the solo travel in a way that makes sense. But here's where people create unnecessary problems. They're meeting someone in the country, but don't want to mention it because they think it sounds suspicious. So they lie and say they're alone. If the officer finds messages on your phone during inspection mentioning your travel companion, you're caught in a lie. Be honest about traveling companions. I'm meeting my friend Sarah, who lives here. We're taking a road trip together. That's not suspicious. That's normal travel. The complication comes with romantic relationships. If you're visiting a boyfriend or girlfriend, officers worry about visa fraud through marriage. Be honest, but don't overshare. I'm visiting my partner for 2 weeks is sufficient. And here's what triggers alarm bells. If someone else booked your ticket, paid for your trip, or arranged your accommodation, the officer will ask detailed questions. They're screening for human trafficking or exploitation. Be prepared to explain the relationship and why someone else covered your expenses. Question 1. What's your return date? This is the most important question on the entire list, because your answer determines whether you're entering legally or attempting to overstay your visa. Officers know that people without return tickets often don't plan to leave. Here's the mistake that gets people denied entry. They bought a one-way ticket planning to book the return later once their plans firm up. That flexibility seems reasonable to them. To immigration officers, it screams visa violation. Always have a return ticket before you arrive. If you genuinely need flexible dates, buy a refundable ticket or a cheap one-way ticket for a date within your visa period. You can change it later, but you need something to show at the border. The answer format should be exact. I'm returning on March 28th on United Airlines Flight 1543. Specific date, specific flight. Matches your documentation perfectly. But here's the trap that catches experienced travelers. You visited this country many times and know you can extend your visa once you're inside. So you bought a ticket for 30 days out, even though you plan to stay 60 days. If you mention extending your visa, the officer might deny entry. They'll say you should have applied for the appropriate visa length before arriving. Never mention plans to extend unless specifically asked. Answer with your current return date as shown on your ticket. If you later apply for an extension through proper channels, that's fine, but don't telegraph those plans at the border. And here's what seasoned travelers understand. Your return ticket needs to depart before your visa expires. If your visa allows 90 days, but your return is on day 92, you're getting denied entry. Double-check visa duration before booking flights. Customs and immigration don't have to be stressful experiences. When you understand what officers are really asking and why those questions matter, you can answer confidently and honestly without fear of being detained or denied entry. These 10 questions determine whether your trip starts smoothly or turns into a nightmare before it begins. If this guide helped you prepare for your next international trip, hit that like button and subscribe for more practical travel advice that actually keeps you out of trouble. Drop a comment below and tell us, have you ever been detained at customs? What happened? Your experience might help other travelers avoid the same mistake. Remember, the goal isn't to outsmart immigration officers. The goal is to be honest, prepared, and clear. And when you do that, you'll walk through customs like a seasoned traveler who knows exactly what they're doing. Safe travels. Safe travels. Safe travels.